Some of you are spending billions of dollars on CAPEX. It might be for a steel mill or it might be for an oil refinery. It may be something you do once in a generation or it may be routine business for you. So in today's video I'll show you how the purchasing chessboard can help you strike the right balance between cost and complexity. I'm Christian Schuh and this is Procurement in the Park. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to my channel or leave a comment down below if you would like to discuss aspects of what I'm discussing now with you in the next couple of minutes. So I'm just back from meeting a client in the Middle East, and hello Ed and team. And with the client we were discussing a roadmap to excellence in procurement. And of course I was talking about the purchasing chessboard. And then just before we were departing, the client asked me, so how would you actually do the procurement of big CAPEX projects? And the purchasing chessboard continues to be an inspiration across many different tasks in procurement, and it also works for CAPEX. So let's take an example. So imagine you want to buy a steel mill. So you want to buy a brand new big steel mill. So this is typically an investment of, don't know what, $4 to $6 billion. And at least in Europe, this happens maybe once in a generation. And when you buy CAPEX, like steel mills or like refineries, you're typically dealing with EPCs, so engineering, procurement and construction firms. And there are not many out in the world. And they are highly specialized in what they're doing. And an EPC would be very happy to sell you an entire steel mill. Okay? So let's look where the steel mill would sit in the purchasing chessboard. So there are just a couple of EPCs out there that can do that. And there is a fair number of companies that do buy steel mills. So logically, in the purchasing chessboard, we would find ourselves in the pretty unfavorable upper right-hand side corner. And this comes with a burden. This is cost. So be assured that whatever you're paying will be pretty expensive, but for this premium you get comfort, right? So in the end, once you have decided on the EPC and you're happy to pay, you can pretty much lean back and the EPC is taking care of everything, right? So you can buy turnkey, a ready to play steel mill. But again, this comes at a heavy cost penalty. So what you can do is you can start breaking down the steel mill into technologies. And now here we have an illustrative example, blast furnace plant. And even if you want to buy a blast furnace plant turnkey, you will still find yourselves very much toward the left-hand side of the purchasing chessboard, meaning low demand power, relatively high cost. But if you break down the blast furnace plant into its technologies, you will suddenly see that your demand power increases. So you're moving further and further to the right of the purchasing chessboard. And if you start talking to the suppliers, you will get much better prices. But nothing is for free, right? So the lower prices you get here mean that you need to buy these low prices with a lot of complexity. So you need to manage all the interfaces between the technologies. So, and in the end, what you will see is kind of two curves, right? So you have on the one hand side the cost curve. So cost is very high when you're on the left-hand side of the purchasing chessboard, it decreases as you move to the right. And then you have the complexity curve, and the complexity curve is very, very high if you're on the right side of the purchasing chessboard, and decreases if you go to the left. And now, again, so you need to strike a balance here. And the balance depends on how often you do this, right? So when you buy the steel mill once in a generation, developing all the competencies to manage the interface, this doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Because it takes a lot of effort to build up the competence, and then you use it, and then once you use it once, and then you will not find interesting use cases again for the next 20, 30 years. So then here you will tend more towards buying turnkey. But if this becomes a routine type of business, it makes a lot of sense to actually replicate a lot of the EPC competences. So being able to manage interfaces between the different technologies, insourcing a lot of this competence, and then you will get a much, much better cost position. So again, doing this once in a generation, you will more find yourself here in the chessboard. If you do it on a regular basis, you will be more here in the more favorable position. So again, I hope you find some value out of this somewhat unusual application of the purchasing chessboard. Let me know if this applies to your company down below in the comments. As usual, I will get back to you within 24 hours. Thank you. Bye.